Hi everybody, this is Shiri and I'm going to show you how to do the fretwork from my Fretwork Pullover that's featured in the fall 2014 issue of Vogue Knitting. I have here a started side panel. All the side panels start the same way, so this is the beginning of one. I have an extra little ball of yarn. You're going to want to roll your skein into more than one ball or roll up more than one skein before you begin. I have a few removable stitch markers that I'm actually going to use as little stitch holders. They're only going to hold 4 stitches at a time, so they're the perfect size. So here I've worked the first 16 rows of one of the side panels. The first 15 rows were just knit 2, purl 2 ribbing, and then that 16th row, which was a right side row, was an increase row, so I have 30 stitches now on my needle. And I'm working the smallest size. So I'm going to start from setting up the first cord, which is going to be the leftmost cord if you're facing the right side. The first row is a wrong side row. I've just finished on a right side row, and the first row of the setup of the first cord is on the wrong side. And it is purl 2, then knit 2, and we do that twice. Then purl 3, and then it says turn work. So this is not like a wrap and turn. There's nothing really special to do here. You just turn the work around and go back and work row 2. And row 2 is knit 3, 1, 2, 3, purl 2, and knit all the way to the end. Row 3 of the setup is just like row 1 of the setup. So purl 2, knit 2 twice. Here's the second time. Purl 2, knit 2, purl 3, and then turn the work. Just turn it around, switch hands. The next 2 rows, row 4 and row 5, and the following 6 rows after that, so a total of 8 rows, I'm going to work over just these 4 stitches, and that's going to form the first cord. So row 4 is just knit 4 and turn. Row 5 is purl 4 and turn. And then I'm going to work 6 more rows in stockinette stitch over just these 4 stitches. And here's my final row of stockinette stitch of the 8 rows that form the first cord, the setup for the first cord. So this is the last purl row. I've worked 8 rows over just those 4 stitches, and now I'm going to put that cord on a holder. So I'm going to grab one of these. It's actually a removable stitch marker, but I'm going to use it as a holder. I'm going to grab these 4 stitches and take them right off the needle. And lock this up. And then I'm going to cut the yarn. And I'm going to leave a long tail here, maybe 6 to 8 inches. And here's what this looks like. This cord is totally detached now from the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead to the setup of the second cord, which starts on the wrong side. So you need to join the yarn with wrong side facing, and to join the yarn you basically just start working with it. Make sure again that you leave a long tail, 6 to 8 inches. We're going to worry about the tails later at the finishing stage. So the first 3 rows of the second cord are basically in stockinette stitch over these 4 stitches. So with wrong side facing, we're going to purl 4. The first stitch is going to be loose because this yarn is not actually connected to anything, but that's okay. It's all going to work out in the end after you weave in the tails. So here's the first row over just 4 stitches. I'm going to turn it around. Row 2, knit 4. It's just these 4. Oops. And again, this stitch is loose. I'm just going to tug on the tail to shrink it down. And the third row of stockinette stitch over just these 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now row 4 goes across all stitches on the needle. So what this means is that this second cord, that second cord, is going to be joined with this edge. For now, it doesn't matter whether this cord is in front or behind, because this cord is unattached, so we can worry about weaving this through later. So it doesn't really matter for this particular joining. We're going to join this cord to this edge just by knitting all the way across. So the next row is knit 3, 1, 2, 3, purl 2. So the first one is one of these 4, and the second one of these purls belongs to these edge stitches, and then knit all the way across. The next row, purl 2, knit 2, do that one more time, purl 3, and turn the work. So we've worked 2 rows that are across this cord as well as these edge stitches, and we're going to repeat those 2 rows 3 more times. So it's going to be a total of 8 rows. Again, a total of 8 of this section and this section being attached. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the last 2 rows 3 more times. Here we go. And here's the last of those 8 rows where the second cord attaches to the edge stitches. And much like the first cord, now we're going to work 8 rows in stockinette stitch across just the first 4 stitches. So it's going to be detached from the rest of the fabric. 1, 2, and 8. So now I've worked 8 rows in stockinette stitch over just those 4 stitches for that second cord. I'm going to put them on a tiny holder. Take them off the needle. Cut the yarn again, make sure you leave a long enough tail. And here's what my fabric looks like now. There's the first cord, up here's the second cord, left edge is worked only up to here, and the right edge is worked even lower at this point. Okay, our setup for the third cord is really short. Again, we're going to face the wrong side. So if we face the right side, counting from left to right, that's the first cord right there. There's the second cord. We're going to turn it around to the wrong side. All the cords start. The setup for all the cords starts on the wrong side. So we're facing the wrong side. We're just going to work 3 rows in stockinette stitch over just the next 4 stitches. So, starting with 4 purls. Turn the work. Nothing special going on here, just turn it. Knit 4. If this feels loose, just tug on the tails to tighten it up. Turn around, and the final row of the setup of cord number 3. That is all, just 3 rows in stockinette stitch. I'm going to put it on a tiny holder. if I can get it open, all 4 stitches of it. I'm going to cut the yarn, leaving a long tail again. We've not yet gotten to the second ball of yarn, but we will. And here's what my fabric looks like now. The only new addition really is this tiny nub of the beginning of cord number 3. To set up the 4th cord, we're again going to turn this to the wrong side, and first we're going to work a few rows, 3 rows, across all 11 remaining stitches. So it's going to be like across the 4th cord plus the edge. So row 1 is purl 3, knit 2, oops, purl 2, and work in knit 2, purl 2 ribbing all the way to the end. For row 2, we're going to knit across to the last 5 stitches, then purl 2 and knit 3. And again, the stitch is loose, so I'm going to tug down the tail to make it look normal again. And row 3 of the setup of the 4th cord is just like row 1, purl 3, and knit 2, purl 2 all the way to the end. To get that broken rib effect. Now the next row, row 4 of the setup of the 4th cord, is a little bit funky, as is my last stitch here. And we finally get to use this second ball of yarn, so I'm going to get this ready. For the next row, we're going to work across the first 7 stitches. This is basically going to separate this last cord from this right side edging. So we're going to knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, purl 1. Now, we're going to drop this working yarn. Just not going to use it anymore. I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to save it for later. So it's still attached. I'm going to pick up this second ball of yarn, and I'm going to work 8 rows, 8 detached rows over just these 4 stitches for the 4th cord. Here's my first row. It's all going to be stockinette. 1 and 8. Now for the next couple of rows, we're going to work across all stitches on the needle. So because we're facing the right side here, what this means is that this cord is going to be joined to the left edge stitches. Now again here we don't really have to worry about weaving it through because these 3 other cords are not attached at one side, so we can weave them through later on before we join them. So for now it really doesn't matter if they're in front of this or if they're behind this, because we can fix that later on. So I'm just going to throw them to the back to make this more comfortable. And I'm going to knit 3, purl 2. One of these purls belongs to this cord, and the second one belongs to the edge stitches, and knit all the way to the end. And the next row is a wrong side row, again across all these stitches. Well, not the ones over here, just these 11. Purl 2, knit 2. Do it again. Purl 2, knit 2, and purl the last, whoa, oopsie daisy, purl the last 3. And now I'm going to repeat those last 2 rows 3 more times. That's going to give me a total of 8 rows where this cord is attached to this edge. So here I go, row 3. And here is the 8th row of 8 of the 4th cord that we're setting up being attached to the left edge. I'm right now on the wrong side. Here's the right side, and it's attached to the left edge for 8 rows. And now, you guessed it, we're going to do 8 rows in stockinette stitch over just the 4 stitches that belong to this cord. Here's the first one of 8 of just stockinette. I'm just going across 4 stitches and turning. 2. So here's what my fabric looks like after I've set up all 4 cords. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 little cords of different heights, of different lengths rather, or heights, all on stitch holders, on tiny stitch holders. The left edge is worked up way longer than the right edge, and that's going to be the case pretty much until you're done. And here's how you work the whole rest of it. You're going to want to find the shortest cord, which is pretty easy. It's this one. It's the one all the way down in the bottom. And these 4 stitches are about to go on the right needle here. And before you do that, you're going to want to make sure that you're weaving this correctly over or under existing cords. It could go behind this one, or it could go in front of it. And according to the diagram for the side panel, this is going to go in front. So I'm going to make sure I'm looking at this correctly. Make sure that when you're doing the weaving that this is laid flat and that it's clear. I'm going to go ahead and put these 4 stitches on the tip of the right needle and take them off the holder. And as soon as I've put them there, I'm going to slip them onto the left. Make sure this one doesn't drop. So why did I bother putting them on the right if I'm just going to slip them onto the left? Just to make sure it was woven correctly. But now I got to slip them onto the left needle to get to where this yarn is attached. This is the one we left before attached to the right edge. It should still be waiting there. And we're going to grab this and go purl 1, knit 3 over the stitches we've just put back onto the needle. And tug any tails back there you need to tighten this back up. So now we actually have one row where this is attached, where the right edge here is attached to this cord that was flailing around before. So we're going to do 7 more rows across these 11 stitches where this cord is attached. So the second row is purl 3, and then knit 2, purl 2, all the way to the end. So that's the second row where they're attached. I'm going to need 8 of those. On the right sides, we just knit all the way until the last 5 stitches. And we have 5 stitches left. It's purl 2, knit 3, and 5 more rows. And here's row number 8 of 8, where our newly attached cord is worked together with the right edge. Looks like the left edge now because I'm on a wrong side row. So as soon as I finish that up and flip it around, you can see I've worked 8 rows attaching this cord to the 7 right edge stitches. So now we're going to do that special yarn switching row just like before. It's going to be knit 6, purl 1, and now we're going to have this piece of yarn wait for us for later. This cord is going to fly free for a while. We're going to grab the second ball, attach it, and work 8 rows in stockinette stitch, starting with the right side facing across just these 4 stitches. Here's the second row of 8, and 8. And there we go. 8 rows detached from the fabric. The next 8 rows are going to be worked across all stitches on this needle. So it's going to get attached now to the left edge. When we attach to the left edge, don't worry about weaving it through, because none of these have been attached yet. So we can worry about it later. When you attach these to the right edge, do worry about weaving them through correctly. So you only have to do that when attaching to the right edge. When attaching to the left edge, don't worry. They can be in front or behind. You can work it out later. So we're attaching to the left edge now. 1, 2, 3, purl 2, knit all the way to the end, and 7 more rows across all of these 11 stitches. Here we go. And 8. This is the 8th row of 8 of our cord being attached to the left edge. It's a wrong side row. And I'm going to flip this around to the right side. And there I go. I attach it for 8 rows to the right edge, worked it independently for 8 rows, and then 8 rows where it's attached to the left edge. And now again, 8 rows where it's not attached. So 8 rows across just 4 stitches. 1 and 8. This is the 8th row of 8. And I'm going to put this right back on its tiny holder. All 4 stitches of it. And as soon as it goes in a holder, we cut the yarn. So we have 1 attached, 1 detached. And here's what my fabric looks like. I can bring this guy to the front so you can see. And again, I've got 4 cords of varying lengths. 1, 2, 3, 4. To continue, again, I grab the shortest one. You're always going to grab the shortest one, which is the one on the bottom. Should be pretty clear. One is always going to be significantly shorter than the others. And before putting it on that right needle, I'm going to make sure that it's woven through, well, if I'm going to work all these tails to the wrong side, that it's woven through correctly. And according to the diagram, this one is going to go over, it's going to go under, over, and under the other cords. So we only have to worry about this weaving when attaching to the right side. Later when you attach it to the left side, don't worry about it. When it's going to go on the right needle, you want to weave it through according to the diagram, place it on the needle, take it off the holder, transfer it to the left needle. These are all separate moves. And grab the yarn that's attached that should be waiting for you. Where's my yarn? There we go. The yarn that you left hanging earlier should be waiting for you on the right needle. And continue across your new cord. And now you're attaching it for 8 rows to the right side edge. And here we can see the open cable pattern starting to form there. So you just continue as established, grab always the shortest cord to attach it next. When you get to the top, you're going to want to make sure that everything has the same number of rows, even though they're going to be varying lengths as you work them up. You're going to have to stop short at some point to make sure that you end up with the same number of rows across all stitches, across the cords and across the edges. So to do that, just keep in mind that each time that you attached one of these, that it was for 8 rows, and each time that you worked it independently, detached, like here, it was also for 8 rows, so that should make the counting easier as you go up to the top. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for knitting my stuff.